Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-chakshalaaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurum. The most important lesson of this pastime of Aditi is how the consciousness is so subtle and how it is going to affect if there is a story that happened 19 in the year 1900 in Punjab. The story tells how careful a person should be in terms of protecting the consciousness and how it affects the progeny, the children that are going to come. Like there was a pious king in Punjab, it is in 1900s. And what happened is he was very good and in his Hare Krishna. Sorry, there was some internet connection. So I was telling the story. What happened in Punjab was there was one cow was stuck. One actually merchant he made a some water arrangement for drinking for the cows, and it was just besides his compound wall. And unfortunately, one cow got his the cow's horn got stuck into that wall. Some somehow it happened. It came for drinking water. And then all the people gathered and they were trying to figure out how to rescue this cow. And what happened is the everybody was suggesting and everybody was saying no, not like them. One person he said that let us cut the horns of the cow. And then nobody agreed, and at last the owner of the house he decided to break the wall and he rescued the cow. Now after that, there was some spies of the king who went and they informed the king that such and such incident happened. And one thing happened is that one of the person he said that let us cut the horns of the cow. The king was very upset. He somehow find out who is the person and he brought him. And he said, "Who are you? You cannot be a Hindu because if you are, you will never say such words of cutting the horns of a cow. How can you be cruel?" He said, "No, no, no. I'm Hindu. I'm Hindu." The king heard some wrong. He was doubtful and he kept him in the prison and said, "Call his mother." And the mother was called. And the king asked, "Tell me, are you chaste to your husband? How this fellow is born? How can he think like that?" The thought itself is so nasty. The woman said, "No, no, no, I am very chaste. Even in my dream, also, I did not think of any other man. I am very chaste to my husband." Then he said, "How come this type of thought mentality came in your son?" Then she said that the day of conception, she just opened the window of her room, and outside she saw a butcher. And she immediately thought, oh, he's a butcher, such a nasty life he's living. And I just saw the butcher, the first person I saw the butcher, and I just contemplated how he's living a sinful life. And that immediately affected the consciousness of the child in the womb. Because the butcher was seen, that type of thought came in the mind of the child. Now, after that, the king made a rule. All the women should wear a ring which has a small mirror. And as soon as the woman wakes up, they should see her face in that mirror. They live a pious life, and when they see themselves who are pious, it is purified. And now also they follow this custom there, the Hindus. The point is what? The consciousness is so subtle. Now I think what is the problem? Evening time they're having a child, but it is not just the act, the consciousness that matters. The early morning, evening time, all the if there is conception, then the demonic mentality, children who are born will be highly demonic. And now most of the population is like that only. Demons, we discuss, it's not that they look like demons, mentality is demon. Like people don't mind eating non-veg. They are so cruel. Morning, evening, night, whole day they are eating only. Such a demonic mentality. They don't even, the thought does not even come that we are doing some harm to this living entity. This is a demonic mentality. And that's why Kashyapa, the Lord Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. This is the diagnosis because the mind is polluted. It has direct effect. That's why if the woman is pregnant, they are very carefully kept because it is affecting the consciousness of the child in the womb. They are told to read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, do spiritual activities. But if they sit in front of I'm really sorry. There is some internet issues. Uh, yeah. Now there are some few more things I just wanted to share in this regard. How what happens is people they are not bothering about what is happening to their mind. Such a subtle thing. They think, oh, Krishna is telling, no, at the time of death, you just remember me. They think, okay, we can do it. It's not a big deal. We just have to remember Krishna at the time. But it's not possible only. The script which we have written for ourselves, what all things we wrote for ourselves, the consciousness, that is so much affecting all of us. It is not possible to change it so easily. We have to practice it whole life. And here we see Kashyapa is saying mind is polluted. And every, when the child is born previously, till 1 month, the mother and child are in quarantine. The child only sees the mother. Why? Because what the child needs that time is only love. And after that, the first place they take the child is to the temple so that he can hear the sacred vibrations. Child is so much absorbing all the vibrations. So they don't allow anybody to come and see the child because they may have some evil eyes. Their mind, they may have some contamination. But the mother will not have. Mother will have pure love for the child and the child gets that love. And because of which what happens? The child is grown up in a very secure environment full of love. His thought process when he grows up also is also very, even though he may have very strong conditioning, they will not affect him much. When Prabhupada write nice purport, the condition for having good progeny in the society are that the husband should be disciplined in religious and regulative principles and the wife should be faithful to the husband. It is said that sexual intercourse according to religious principles is a representation of Krishna consciousness. Before engaging sexual intercourse, both the husband and wife must consider their mental conditions, the particular time, the husband's uh, directions and obedience to the demigods. According to Vedic society, there is suitable auspicious time for sex, which is called the time of Garbhadana. Diti neglected all the principles of scriptural innovation, therefore, although she was very anxious for the auspicious children, she was informed that her children would not be worthy to be the sons of a Brahmana. There is a clear indication here that the Brahmana's son is not allowed not always a Brahmana. Personalities like Ravana and Hirakashpu were actually born to Brahmanas, but they were not accepted as Brahmana because their fathers did not follow the regulative principles for the birth. Brother. Such children are called demons or Rakshasas. Nowadays, nobody is following. So that's why all this mentality, like militants and all, they're extremely cruel people. They don't mind killing women, children, old people. They mercilessly slaughter them, and we cannot even imagine also the way they behave. Why that mentality is coming? That is a responsibility of women there. She don't maintain good consciousness because their lifestyle is like that. For them, it does not matter. They from the childhood only they create so much hatred in their heart, and when they beget the children, they are born with such amount of hatred. There is only one or two Rakshasa in the previous ages due to the negligence of the disciplinary methods. But during the age of Kali, there is no disciplined sex life. How then can one expect good children? Certainly, unwanted children cannot be a source of happiness in society. But through the Krishna conscious movement, they can be raised to the human standards by chanting the holy name of God. That is the unique contribution of Lord Chaitanya to human society. That is the only hope for all of us to protect ourselves from other demonic people and demonic mentality, which we already have this very well, some extent, whatever little bit here then. Because we are affected by all these things. We cannot say we don't have. We may have in a very subtle way. They may not manifest, but by chanting the holy name, we can come out even that also. So he says, Kashyapa says, you will have two contentious sons, but born of your condemned womb. Unlike human, they will cause constant lamentation for all the three birds. Contemptuous sons are born of the condemned womb of mother. In the Bhagavad Gita 1.40 said, when there is a deliberate negligence of the regulative principles of religious life, a woman as a class becomes polluted. So the protection is given to women. Why? She has to carry the child for 9 months, and after that, for first 4 years, she is very much responsible how she takes care of the child, how much love she gives. Once the child becomes 10 and above, it is a responsibility of father. And before that, that's why woman is given 10 times, some say 100 times more respect than father. She is the first guru. And what is that lesson mother gives is lesson of love. And that's why it is so much, the woman is given so much protection, not just physical, it's a mental protection also. Women should not be polluted within the mind. And as a result, there are unwanted children. This is especially true for boys. If the mother is not good, there cannot be good sons. The Lord Kashyapa could foresee the character of the sons who would be born of the condemned womb of Didi. The womb was condemned because of mothers being too sexually inclined and thus transgressing all the laws and injunctions of scriptures. In a society where such women are predominant, one should not expect good children. According to present standard, I told Diti is considered a greatest of sage. She just one time she wanted to associate with her husband, and that too to have children, and she was taking responsibility of it. Nowadays, the standards are uncomparably low. And here, Prabha is telling we cannot expect only. The womb was condemned because the mothers being in that state too sexually inclined and thus transgressing all the laws of injunctions of scriptures. Hare sorry, today internet is too bad. Okay, next time it goes, then we'll try one more time. And Kashyap says they will kill poor, faultless living entities, torture women, and enrage the great souls. This is the uh, This is what the prediction. And Prabhupada, right? Demonic activities are predominant. Demonic activities are predominant when intoxicant, faultless living, innocent, faultless living entities are killed. Women are tortured, and great souls engaged in Krishna consciousness are enraged. In a demonic society, innocent animals are killed to satisfy the tongue, and women are tortured by unnecessary sexual indulgence. Where there are women and meat, there must be liquor and sex indulgence. When there are when these are prominent in society, by God's grace, one can expect a change in social order by the Lord Himself or by His bona fide representatives. And Prabhupada at that time, Kashyapa said, at that time, the Lord of the universe, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the well-wisher of all living entities, will descend and kill them, just as Indra smashes the mountains with his thunderbolt. And Lord comes to protect. Kashyapa is Prabhupada is telling, the Lord descends as an incarnation to deliver the devotees and kill the miscreants. And he says that the Lord of the universe of everything would appear in order to kill the sons of Diti because of their offending the devotees of Lord. There are many agents of Lord, such as Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Goddess Durga, Kali, who can chastise any formidable miscreants in this world. And proposing the example of mountains means smashed with thunderbolt is very appropriate. The mountain is considered the most strongly built body within the universe, yet it can be easily smashed by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Personality of Body does not need to descend in order to kill any strongly built body. So, Lord need not come, his agents are sufficient. But Prabhupada, he comes down just for the sake of his children. Paritrana sadhana is main purpose. Everyone is subjected to the miseries offered by material nature. But because the activities of miscreants, such as killing innocent people and animals or torture women, are harmful to everyone,
Mm. Right. So here we see that if the signal goes also, we'll be able to read the text. Goes. And it is said that everyone is subjected to the miseries of uh, offered by material nature, but because the activities of the miscreants, such as killing innocent animals, people and animals, or or torture women, are harmful to everyone, and therefore the source of pain for the devotees, the Lord comes down, He descends only to give relief to the ardent devotees. The killing of miscreants by the Lord is also the mercy of the Lord towards the miscreants. So they will be delivered by the Lord. If Lord comes and personally kills, it is elevating. And now this is said, it is very uh, good that my sons will be magnanimously killed by the arms of personality of Godhead and with his Sudarshan weapon. O my husband, may they never be killed by the wrath of Brahmanas and devotees. Now, what is why it is telling? Because anyway people have to die on. So if you are dying in the hands of Supreme Lord, you will be elevated. So she understands that philosophy very nice. She's saying, okay, let them die, but let them die in the hands of uh, Supreme Lord. So that is what is she is expecting. When Diti heard from her husband that the great souls would be angered by the activities of her sons, she was very anxious. She thought that her sons might be killed by the wrath of the Brahmana. The Lord does not appear when the Brahmanas become angry at someone because the wrath of Brahmana is sufficient in itself. Like King Vena, he was just killed by the wrath of. He certainly appears, however, when his devotee simply becomes sorry. A devotee of Lord never prays to the Lord to appear for the sake of removing the trouble the miscreant caused for him. He never bothers him by asking for protection. Rather, the Lord is anxious to give protection. So devotees are not calling. So sometimes devotees call, the Gajendra is calling, Draupadi is calling, but in general they are okay. And Diti knew well that the killing of her sons by the Lord would also be his mercy, and therefore she says that the wheel and arms of the Lord are magnanimous. If someone is killed by the wheel of the Lord, it is just fortunate enough to see the arms of the Lord that is sufficient for his liberation. Such good fortune is not achieved even by the great sage. And then he says that a person who is condemned by Brahmana is always, he says, fearful of to other living entities and not favored either by those who are already in hell or by those in the species in which he is born. And a practical example of condemned is of five dogs. Dogs are so condemned that they never show any sympathy to other dogs. Prabhupada, this statement it is very unpopular for the Western world. They like dogs so much. The Lord Kashyapa said, because of your lamentation and repentance and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and your adherent adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of your sons, Prahlad, of your son Hiranyakashipu, will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcasted equally with that of the personality of Godhead. She got a nice benediction. In order to follow in the footsteps of saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from anxiety, just as purifying process rectify gold of inferior quality. So Prahlad's glories are given before he is born only. And who is glorifying? Great grandfather, because Hiranyakashipu's father is Kashyap. His grandfather is there. Yoga practice, the process of purifying one's existential identity, is based mainly on self control. Without self control, one cannot practice freedom from anxiety. In conditioned state, every living being is envious of other living beings. But in the liberated state, there is an absence of animosity. Prahlad Maharaj was tortured by his father in so many ways. Yet, after the death of his father, he prayed for his father's liberation by the Supreme Personality God. He did not ask any benediction that he might have asked, but he prayed that his atheistic father may be liberated. He never caused any of the persons who engaged in torturing him at the instigation of his father. And then it says, everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of God, the supreme control of the universe, is always satisfied with the devotee who does not wish for anything beyond. So three verses are glorifying Prahlad. And it says, this topmost devotee of Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will be certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. And here Prabhupada is writing some nice purport. There are three stages of transcendental development in devotional service, which are technically called Sai Bhav, Anubhav, and Mahabhav. Continuous perfect love of Godhead is called Sai Bhav, and when it is performed in a particular type of transcendental relationship, it is called Anubhav. But the stage of Mahabhav is visible among the personal pleasure potency of the Lord, that is Srimati Radharani. It is understood that the grandson of Diti, namely Prahlad Maharaj, would constantly meditate on the Lord and recount his activities because he would constantly remain in meditation. He would easily enter himself in the spiritual world after quitting this material body. Such meditation is still more conveniently performed by chanting and hearing the holy name of Lord. This is especially recommended in this age of Kali. And he says that this is actually very helpful also. For us, na, when we are chanting, what is important is how much emotionally we are involved in chanting. That is very important. What happens is the impressions will go so deep, and that will help us to that is actually what is needed. The sanskaras na, should be so deep of chanting the holy name. So much emotion should be kept and feeling should be there. Because we already had so many bad sanskaras. Sanskara basically means all the impressions and emotions of other activities we already have so much. Now to remove them, we need to put some more, we need to have much more deeper impressions. That's why not just chanting, but chanting with emotion is very important. We should feel grateful, we should feel that uh, some feeling should be there for the Lord, which will help us. And here we see Prahlad is also having such great feeling. The bhav is that feeling. He'll be virtuously qualified survey, survivor of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy to see others' happiness and distress to see others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be the destroyer of lamentation of all the universe, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. Now, you see how much benediction Diti is getting because she just accepted. Because she accepted, immediately she could attract the mercy. This is the advantage. If we are accepting our mistake and says, okay, this is my fault, I have my weakness, then immediately, so the punishment is not that compulsory there should be punishment. No, there need not be punishment for all the sinful activities. What is more important now is that the heart is changed, the mentality is rectified, then there is no punishment on. If the mentality is rectified, Lord is not very eager to see that they definitely receive punishment. No. If the person who committed mistakes, he repents and he comes out of the mentality, he is immediately forgiven. Otherwise, this law of karma, if you go in that way, it is very complicated. We cannot, nobody can come out of it. Because we can come out of it, Lord made arrangements. What arrangements? So many arrangements. It's just somebody is repenting, lamenting, he can come out of it. Somebody serves the cow, he can change his karma. We can change karma. That is the hope. Otherwise, there is no need of scriptures. Once you are caught up, means we performed an action. There is a reaction, and because of the reaction, you act in another way, and then there will be re-reaction, and again you act because of that. And then re. You continuously we are caught only reaction after reaction. Where is the question of coming out? But Lord made certain arrangements in this world where if you go to the superiors and take their blessings, we can come out of some reaction. Regularly worshipping the elders, regularly worshipping Guru, and going to the temple and also serving the cow. So such facilities are given so that the mentality is rectified and we can come out of. And Prabhupada writing Prahlad, the exemplary devotee of Lord, had all the good qualities humanly possible. Although he was the emperor of the world, he was not profligate. Beginning from his childhood, he was the reservoir of all good qualities. Without enumerating these qualities, the present verse summarily says that he was endowed with all good qualities. This is a sign of a pure devotee. The most important characteristics of a pure devotee is that he is not lumped or li- licentious. The another quality is that he is always eager to mitigate the miseries of suffering humanity. The most obnoxious mercy of a living entity is his forgetfulness of Krishna. Only one thing Krishna tells in 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you want to be happy, just remember me all the time. That's all. One mana, just keep your mind on me. if the whole Bhagavad Gita, if you want to remember the essence in 2 words, is manmana. Just concentrate your mind on it. A pure devotee, therefore, always tries to evoke everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is the pin- pinnacle of all, sorry, panacea of all. And he says, your grandson will be able to. So now Kashyap Muni is so much glorified for us. Of birth of trust. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is a beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautifully decorated with earrings. And was writing, it is predicted here with the grandson of Diti, Prahlad Maharaj would not only see the personality of Godhead within himself by meditation, but would also able to see him personally with his eyes. This direct vision is possible only for one who is highly elevated in Krishna consciousness. So, even which is rare to Kashyap Muni, which is rare to his father, which is rare to his grandfather Brahma, but Prahlad is going to get, and everybody will appreciate Prahlad. And the Supreme Personality have many forms: Krishna, Baldev, Sankarsana, Ruddha, Pradyumna, all these things. A pure devotee becomes attached to one of the eternal forms. A devotee does not imagine something mystical about the form of Lord. But whenever a devotee sees the Lord, he sees him in a most beautifully decorated form. And then Maitreya says, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was very pleased in his mind. And Prabhupada writes, Diti was very aggrieved to learn that because of her untimely pregnancy, her sons would become demons and would fight with the Lord. But when she heard that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her 2 sons would be killed by the Lord, she was satisfied. As a wife of a great sage and daughter of a great Prajapati Daksha, she knew that being killed by the personality of God it is great fortune. Since the Lord is absolute, his acts of violence and non-violence are both of the absolute platform. There is no difference in such an act of the Lord. Mundane violence and non-violence have nothing to do with Lord's act. A demon killed by him attains the same result as one who attains liberation after many births of penance and austere. The word Trisham is significant herein because it indicates that Diti was pleased beyond her expectation. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, pregnancy of Diti, stated. Uh, I, I apologize because of net connection. We have to, I just have to rush also a little bit so that we will able to complete otherwise. So thank you all very much. We will end here. There is no. Hare, we'll meet on Monday. Chandra,